Hello, this is Love, Loss, and Other Things, and I'm Alicia. And on today's episode, we are going to talk all about my mom. I have not mentioned my mom very much, either on Instagram or on here. And so many people don't really know a lot about us, our relationship, anything about her. So I'm going to fill you in on my mom. So my mom passed away when she was 58 years old she passed away in 2014, I believe. I know, it's so sad of when you think about how crazy you forget the date, but it's 2014. I know it was April 7th, 2014 is when my mom passed. So my mom was 58 years old. She had a lot of medical issues, and we really didn't expect her to go that early at all. She was doing a lot better, but unfortunately it was just the way things went, and her body was shutting down, and there was really nothing that any of the doctors could do. So I'm going to go back to the beginning. My mom and my dad met. They worked at the Met. It was like a Walmart, but it was an older store. And she lived about an hour away from my dad, and my dad had worked with my aunt at this Met. And my aunt brought my mom in, and my mom and dad met, and she started working there, and that was history. They moved around because my dad was the assistant manager of the store, so he was transferable. So he moved quite a bit around. And when I was born, I was born in Nova Scotia. So my parents were pregnant with me. So my parents got pregnant with me, and I was really the only child for 12 years until my brother was born. And I said, what's going on? And they were not planning on my brother, but he was such a blessing. And I was just so happy to have a brother or a sister. I was so excited. I actually wanted a sister, but I'm so happy that I had a brother, because he is still to this day one of my very best friends. And I think we wouldn't have been so close if we wouldn't have been so far apart. So there's 12 years between us. But getting to my mom. My mom was so kind, okay? So my mom had a heart of gold, but she had the mouth of a sailor. My mom stood up for herself, and she did like to say swear words, which is really funny because I never did, ever. No one else really did, but she would curse, and we always laughed because it was just my mom. She was so kind. If anyone needed anything, she would gather up groceries in her house and bring it to them. She would do literally anything she could. My mom didn't work for years. She didn't work outside the home, I guess I should say. She took in kids for years, and she babysat while we were in school, and that's what she did for a long, long time. And then she worked seasonal with like the city in our town. She did that for a while, but again, with her, what happened was to my mom at one point fell down the stairs, and she shattered her, I believe was her ankle, and they had to put like screws in and everything like that. And I don't want to say what the doctor really messed up, and she was never the same again. She had trouble walking forever, so she couldn't work anymore. My mom had type 2 diabetes. She found out she had type 2 diabetes. She lost 70 pounds, and she was doing really good. But she ended up being on insulin. Like, she was an insulin dependent diabetic at that point. She had her first heart attack, low 40s, and I think she had 4 or 6. Now, I'm going to say, I know that I'm saying things like I think, but in all honesty, I don't know why, but there's parts of my mom's like health history that I forget. And I know that that sounds weird, but I think I might have blocked it out just because it was such a hard time. And I don't want to remember it maybe. I'm not even sure. My mom actually went across to a hospital in another province, and I don't even remember that time frame. I don't even remember like what it was, which is so weird. I was living out then with friends, like I was going to university, and I just don't remember everything. So my mom me and my mom had a very different relationship, okay? We were super crazy close growing up. It was my mom. I absolutely like adored her. We were really, really, really close. And we were very similar because we fought all the time. As I got older, we started to fight a lot more, and not like fight. It was just like silly, stupid arguments, and we would say things we didn't mean. And but it got to the point that we fought a lot. But I lived across the street from my parents, and me and my mom, I would go over there to watch a movie with her, and my mom would have, like, we would have an argument, and I would be like, I'm never coming back. I don't want to see you again. And I would leave, and I'd be across the street, and literally 15 minutes later, my mom would call, and she would say, she was the kind of person that just pushed everything under the rug. Like, it didn't happen. So she would call and say, hey, do you want to come over and have a nap? And I'd be like, sure. So I'd go over, and literally at like 20 some years old, I would have a nap with my mom. I'd climb in bed, and the two of us would like have a nap together after we just fought. So my relationship with my mom was very up and down. It never ever stopped me from loving her more than anything. Like, I absolutely loved my mother, loved her. She was one of the main people in my whole life. I wasn't that close to my dad, which is shocking. If you listen to my stories about my dad, you would never know that I wasn't close to my dad. But growing up, it was all about mom. Dad worked 2 to 3 jobs. He was always busy. And it was mom that did all of she was the one that was always home with us. So I was really, really close to her. My mom's favorite movies were scary movies, and she loved anything to do with aliens, which I am terrified of. I was completely petrified of aliens. Her favorite movies were Signs and War of the Worlds. And she loved any like true crime, Forensic Files, any of those ones. I don't even know if Forensic Files was even on TV when she was watching them, but she also loved The Haunting. So we would go on YouTube. This is how long ago it was. We would go on YouTube and look up The Haunting shows, and we would watch them on there. And we would sit and watch them for hours on her computer. We loved that. But yeah, we would do that all the time. My brother was really close to my mom. He watched a lot of shows with her. And my mom was just like the fun mom. She was the mom that she would say to me, do you want to stay home from school today? And I'd be like, yeah. So then she would call my dad and say, oh, Alicia's sick today. And she's like, and then she would say to me, I'll let you stay home, but you have to help me do clean up the house, and then we'll watch shows all afternoon. I'm like, okay, sounds fun to me. So she would do that to me all the time. It was so bad. Like, she was the fun mom though, right? And dad never knew anything. He just thought I wasn't feeling good. And she didn't do it every day, obviously, but it was fun. And we'd have the whole day together, and we'd make something yummy, and we would we'd watch some scary shows together. What else was there about my mom? My mom was just, she loved to laugh. My mom loved to laugh, and she loved kids, and kids loved my mom. My mom was kids were just gravitated to my mom. She was just so funny, and she would sneak them freezies and give them all the things that their parents would probably be like, don't give them that. My mom would just she was just, I don't know. My mom was just one of those people that I unfortunately didn't appreciate until it was too late. My mom and dad had a great relationship. They were in love. When my mom passed, my dad actually even said, I've already had the love of my life. Now I just want to take care of myself. And we said, okay, if that's what you want to do, that's all good to us too. We're okay with that. So, and my dad never did. He never met anyone else afterwards. He always got hit on, but he never went with anyone else, as far as we know. He could have had some little hidden secrets, I don't know, but he didn't tell us about them if he did. But yeah, my mom was, I know I'm kind of rambling everywhere here. It's just really hard to, remember those things, which I don't know why, and I kind of hate it. Why I can't remember my mom as much. I remember her. I remember her smell. I remember things she used to say. I remember the stuff she loved. She loved Randy Travis. We would drive around and sing Randy Travis. She loved going to New Brunswick for the weekend. We did that a lot. And my mom absolutely loved angels, which is why I have my angel wings. That was for her. Christmas was huge. Christmas was my mother's favorite time of year. It did not matter what was going on. Christmas was Christmas. It was like the best thing. We decorated. The house was insane. We decorated so much. It was just crazy. We had so much fun at Christmas too. And when I was younger, we would go across to like I said, another province, and we would go to their Santa Claus parade. And my dad worked at a hotel, so we would get like a cheap deal at these hotels. And we would always request a room, and it would look out, it would look out onto the angels. There was a park outside the hotel, next to the hotel, and the park had all these little angels, like these beautiful, actually they weren't little, they were huge angels, and with their wings, and they were all lit up at night. And she always wanted the rooms that had the view of the angels, and that's one of the main things I remember about her as well. Sorry. So I remember that so much about my mom, and we would watch the Santa Claus parade, and she loved, oh my gosh, what is the name of the place that had, Deluxe Fish and Chips? She loved going to Deluxe Fish and Chips, and I absolutely hated it, but she loved Deluxe. We didn't have it where I live, so when we'd go across, it was always like a big deal. We would get Deluxe Fish and Chips, we'd go shopping, we'd go to the hotel, we'd see the angels. It was just like a huge thing. And Christmas, and she made literally the best seafood chowder I've ever had. I loved her seafood chowder. It was so good. And we would have lobster, like we would have seafood chowder, everything. Christmas was just the best time with Mom. It was just my favorite time of year. We loved it, and we did so much together. And those are the things I remember the most about my mom. And she had this one beautiful jacket that she loved, and she would wear it all the time. And it was a winter coat, and it was like fake fur like looking thing. It was a beautiful coat, and she absolutely loved it. It's so weird, these little things that you remember. Like I remember the angels. I remember going to the Christmas Santa Claus parade with her. I remember doing these little things, but then things that are like so important, like how many heart attacks did she have? It's like you push it out of your mind, right? My mom was also super funny. And this story is like, she did this to me all the time. So as I said, I was afraid of aliens, and my mom would call me up, and in the movie Signs, there is a part, and the aliens make this like kind of noise, okay? And my mom would call me up on the phone, and she would do those noises and then hang up. And this is like, we didn't even have cell phones. Like, it was like legit a phone. And she would do that, and she would be like thinking it was like the most funniest thing ever. And I'd be like, stop it, Mom. I'm scared of the aliens. And I knew it was her, but it was so funny. And she would do it just to like freak me out. So like, she had such a good sense of humor. She just she loved to dance. She loved to laugh. She loved to sing. She was just a fun, outgoing person that people just gravitated to her. You didn't want to piss her off. I will say that. She stood up for herself, and she stood up for her family. So she was always one of those people that would definitely, she was rough around the edges when it came to that, but she was very kind and would give you anything, the shirt off her back, whatever you needed. So now to talk about my mom's like health journey. So my mom was a diabetic, like I said. She had high blood pressure and she had her first heart attack. I think she was mid 40s when she had her first heart attack. And they started kind of watching her, and over the years she was good. She'd have scares and stuff like that, and she I don't know, she lost a bunch of weight, she'd gained some weight back. She never really took care of herself with her diabetes completely. She did really good at first when she found out she had diabetes. Like, she lost like 70 pounds right away. She just was like, okay, done. And my mom would drink like Coke, just regular Coke all the time. She switched completely to Diet Coke, changed everything. She just did awesome. And then as she got older, she just kind of let it go. She'd be like popping like, oh, I'll just take some insulin. And like, she'd have cake and treats and things like that. It was just kind of the way I was at first, the way I was like until recently. I just pretended like it didn't really exist. It wasn't really a big thing. So that's kind of where we are with that. She wasn't a healthy person. Also, disclaimer, my mom and my dad both smoked. My mom smoked, I think, since she said she was like 14 years old. Her mom passed away when my mom was 16 years old. My mom's mother passed away. So she was raised by her dad and then a stepmom. So her aunt, my aunt basically raised her. So, she was very young. She was the youngest in the family. And, so she was raised basically by her sisters. One sister in particular. And, anyway, so she had a rough, like, childhood kind of thing that way. And, so I don't know why I'm saying that, because that doesn't really matter with her health. But anyway, her health, she didn't take care of herself like she should have. She 100% would admit that as well. And she smoked. So she smoked her whole life. She never stopped smoking until she had her first heart attack. And when she had her first heart attack, she stopped smoking, which was a complete shocker. If my mom can quit smoking, like, you can do literally anything in your life, because my mom, I'm not even lying, would smoke like constantly. So my mom just started to get sick. It was, I think, one of the things that did it, the fall that she fell down the stairs and that fracturing her ankle and foot and everything was really put her in a bad spot, because she gained weight. She was kind of in a wheelchair for a while. She couldn't do a lot of stuff. And then she ended up getting really sick with the flu, like really, really sick. And she actually ended up in the ICU. And her body was like really shutting down. They actually had to like intubate her, I believe it's called. And she was on a breathing tube. So she was on a breathing tube, and he basically told us that her heart wasn't very good. There was only a certain percentage of it that was working. And he didn't know that if he took the tube out, that she would be able to breathe on her own. I remember the day I was working, and we had to make the decision, like, my dad had to decide what to do. And my dad decided that we were going to take the tube out to see, because he would, like, there's no sense in her just laying there and us not knowing if she's going to be okay or what's going on. Me and my brother were very young. So, well, my brother was very young. I was probably, I guess, early 30s. I don't know. It was just, I guess, late 20s, early 30s, something around there. Again, I'm so sorry. This is all just like pushed together in my head, and I don't know why. And I hate the fact that I can't remember exact dates and things like that, exact like years. But my brother remembers all this stuff. He's so good with that stuff. Anyway, so so that my dad decided to take out the tube, and I was at work, and my aunt, my aunt that's like a mom to me, she drove me there, and I said, I don't know what we're gonna do. What's gonna happen? Like, I don't know. And anyway, they took the tube out, and when I walked around that corner, She had the biggest smile I've ever seen in my life, and it was literally the best smile. And I always say to this day, it was the best smile I have ever seen in my whole life, because she was healthy, like she was alive. And she was breathing on her own. It took her a little while before she could talk because of the tube and everything that was down her throat. But she did so good, like so good. And she was in the hospital for a while after that. But that really did a bad toll on her body. Like it really ravaged her body. When she got really, really sick, they put her into a home. And she almost passed away in the home. They put her in like a senior's home to kind of help her get back to walking so that she could come home. And they put her in a senior's home, and she literally almost died. They took us, they called us, they were taking her in the ambulance to the hospital, and they said, we don't think she's going to make it through the night. You need to come. So we went there. We have pictures around her bed. My aunt came and my cousins and stuff, and we were all there. And anyways, we just stayed all night with her, and then her stats and everything like that just started to get better. And the next morning, she was sitting on the side of the bed, and she asked for a cheeseburger from Wendy's. She asked for a Wendy's cheeseburger. And we were laughing at her, like, are you serious, Mom? Like, you almost died, and you're sitting there wanting a cheeseburger. She spent all her time in the hospital pretty much after that, though. And she was good, though. She talked a lot. My two aunts came down from away. They live away in the west coast of Canada. And they came down and they spent weeks or a month with us. And they went to visit her every single day. And we had so much fun. I remember we would just sit there and laugh in Mom's room. And yeah, she was doing good. My uncle brought her lobster in, and he's recently passed as well, a couple years ago in this November. And so he's up there with her. They're all eating lobster and having fun with my dad. But yeah, so she got her cheeseburger, and they wanted to do a swallow test. And they were like, we got to do a swallow test on this lady before she can eat anything. And she's like, you don't have to do a swallow test on me. She was very stubborn, and like probably one of the strongest people I've ever met in my entire life. She was so strong and such a fighter, like such a fighter. Her and my dad did have talks about what she wanted and things like that. And it got to the point that her liver wasn't working very well, and her liver was like poisoning her. Like her liver wasn't getting out the poisons in your body like it is supposed to do. And she was like getting swollen and swollen and swollen. And yeah, they just said that she was just getting worse, and that they were trying to like drain the fluids and things like that. But she did really, really good in the hospital. We were doing really well with her. And I think they gave her 3 months, and she lasted a month. So she loved pizza, Domino's pizza. And we would go, and I would go and visit her. So I was off one day, and this is the day she passed. So I was off that day, and Adam, she got to meet Adam. She knew Adam for a year. And she told me one day, you will never find anyone that loves you as much as Adam does. She just wanted me to know that. And it's true. And I believed her. And I got up that morning. So this is one of my biggest regrets. We went out the night before she passed, and we went to dinner. And she called me to say goodnight. She called me every night to say goodnight. And she called me, and I was going into a restaurant, and I brushed her off. She said, hey, I just want to call and say goodnight, and I love you. And I was like, oh, okay, Mom, we're going into a restaurant now, so I'll see you in the morning. And these are my words. I said, don't call me too early. I want to sleep in a little bit. It's my day off. And then I'll come down, though, for lunch, and I'll bring you Domino's. And she said, okay. And we said goodnight, and I love you. But I hung up, and I didn't, talk to her. And I said, if I knew now that was the last time I was going to talk to my mom, I would have said so much. I would have said all of the things that I wanted to say. I would have asked her so many questions. But obviously I wouldn't have been going to a restaurant if I thought that was the last time I was going to talk to my mom. So, that morning I woke up. The next morning I woke up and I got ready and Adam dropped me off at the hospital. And I went and I got us Domino's pizza. They have it in the lobby there. They sell it at lunch. And I went up to the room. And when I went into the room, my mom was laying in bed and they had the TV on in front of her and it was really loud. And she was just laying there, sitting up kind of. And she kept saying my dad's name. And I was like, hey Mom, I'm here with the pizza. And she just wasn't responding to me very well. So I set the pizza down and I went out to the nurse's station. I said, hey, my mom was just home last night with my dad. My mom was just home the other day. My dad was just here last night. They were watching a show together, eating chips. She's not responding in there. This isn't normal. This is not how she's supposed to be. And they were like, okay, we'll send someone in. So I go in and I'm sitting there and I'm just kind of holding her hand and I'm talking to her, but she's not responding. And she's just kind of looking at the TV, but not even paying attention to the TV. And she just kept saying my dad's name over and over again. So I called Dad and I said, Dad, things aren't good. I don't know what's going on, but Mom's not good. I think you need to come down here, because he was working. And anyways, the doctors came in and they were like, oh, we're going to change her. And I'm like, okay. So Dad was on his way down. He picked up my brother. And when they were changing her, her hands started to lock up like this kind of thing. And they started to lock up and she was her movements were very weird and she still wasn't responding. And my dad's name was Jimmy and she called him Jitty all the time. That was her baby name for him, Jitty. And she kept saying Jitty over and over again. So anyways, my dad and everyone showed up. My dad and my brother showed up. And the doctor just basically looked at us in the hallway and he said, she's going. She's going to be going, she's going soon. Her body's completely shutting down. So my dad called his family. And again, it was absolutely beautiful. I called Adam. Adam came. My aunt and my cousins came and some other aunts and uncles and some of my brother's best friends, because my mom was like I said, my mom loved kids. All of my brother's friends she was like a second mom to them because they grew up in my mom's house. My mom was a second mom to the kids that didn't have a good mom or didn't have a mom that was there for them or had a mom, but she was just so fun that they just called her a second mom. So there were so many people there, and we literally sat around the bed. It was my first time ever dealing with a death, and we held her hand and she told us that she loved us, and we told her that, we loved her. We told her that she could go, that we understood that she was in pain. And yeah, she passed away. I think it was 6 something at night, 7 something. I know the exact time, but I just can't think of it right now. And we sat there for probably an hour with her. We all did. And I know people are so scared of death and seeing someone pass, and it's literally the hardest thing you'll ever deal with in your entire life. But it also can be so beautiful. There's such a beautifulness to it, because it's I don't know. I don't even know how to explain why it's beautiful, but it is. It's not scary. It was beautiful. And it made me feel so good that I was there with her and that we were all there with her, because I didn't want her to be alone. And yeah, she passed away, and we left that night. And we went back to my parents' house, and my aunts and uncles came. And my aunt bought us like a bucket of KFC, and we all just sat there, and you're just kind of like in shock. And I cried a lot. And then you just go into like survival mode. You just go into that dad took care of everything. So, which I feel so bad because I know what it was like trying to do everything for dad. And he did that. Like, he did it. He was so brave to do that all. And he lost the love of his life. And I'm just like, wow. He was so strong. Such a strong man. And I miss my mom every single day. I think of her all the time. It's a very different grief than what I'm going through with my dad. I went off work for the 5 days, and then I went back to work, and life just went on as normal. But again, cried a lot. I have things of hers that I cherish, and I missed her on my wedding day, and I miss her that her niece and nephew do not get to meet her. Because she was such a wonderful, wonderful person. And I just wish that she would have met them because she would have loved them so much. But that's my mom, and that's the story of my mom. And I hope you enjoyed it. I just wanted to share a piece of myself about that, because I've never really talked about my mom. People just know that she's passed away, but nobody really knows what our relationship was like, what kind of person she was. And yeah, she was just a special person. There's so many times I wish I could ask her questions, and I can never obviously ask those questions. And I never got her seafood chowder recipe, which it was a big regret. So, but this one was for my mom, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked getting to know my mom. We definitely had an up and down relationship, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love her beyond anything I could ever imagine, and her and my dad are together, and yeah, so thank you for listening. I know a lot of you have experienced grief. My comments are always opened. My email is there as well underneath this, and if you ever want to chat or share a story of your loved one, feel free to. I am just always here, and I hope that this resonated with you a little bit. Maybe something you felt from this touched home to you. I'm sure it did. But again, thank you for listening, and I will see you next week with another Love, Loss, and Other Things podcast. I'm Alicia, and have a good night. Bye.